אני גמורה, הוא זרק אותי.
איפה?
ההיא פיטרה.
איפה?
ודודה שלי בלקה אותי.
איפה?
מה איפה? בחיפה, מה עכשיו? שאלות. נו, מה אתה ידרום?
שלום, שלום וברוכים לפודקאסט הכי ישראלי ברדיו ג'ודאיקה 90.2. אנחנו כאן חולקות מיקרופון היום. שגית.
יפעת.
מה שלומך?
בסדר. כשאת קרובה אליי ככה, זה אפילו יותר טוב.
זה אפילו יותר טוב. ויש איתנו כאן את מודי רוזנפלד, אנחנו נעבור לאנגלית. מודי רוזנפלד, probably one of my favorite comedians, known for his professional name as Modi. He's also an actor, probably one of the wittiest levels of humor you find on Instagram nowadays. All around Jewish themed humor, and actually is able to connect quite diverse groups of Jews. And hi Modi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
שלום, ברוכים
Jews and
הבאים.
non-Jews.
Jews and non-Jews, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have you here with us today because you are coming to Belgium.
I am coming to Antwerp on the 22nd.
Yes.
And we are
for a
so
great-
excited about
of
it.
Of May.
Yes.
You will
May
return
22nd.
also in August. Because we want to see you as much as we can, huh?
What's in August?
You know, you said 20, or I missed
22nd.
22nd in August, and then you said May, no?
No,
May.
May
Okay.
22nd. May 22nd.
Yes.
We're doing a show. We're doing a tour in Europe of. We're going to be in Warsaw, in Manchester, in Munich, Frankfurt, Geneva, and Antwerp. I call it the reparations tour.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what will you talk about in Warsaw?
I mean, about something funny so they can all laugh.
It's, yeah, you were here also almost 2 years ago?
You were here right after the 7th of
The 7th of
October.
October.
I was in Brussels.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are also based
Yeah.
in Brussels. And
It was a very intense show. We sold 900 seats. 800 people came because they were scared of security, and there really was no reason to. It was an amazing show. It was an amazing show in Brussels.
yes, we will talk about it because I was in the audience of that show.
Oh,
And
it's
I
a whole
was
new
also-
show now.
And I was also on Instagram with Leo about the security. Is there security?
Oh, okay.
It was
So
very
you
kind.
helped
He
out. You
responded
helped out.
immediately. So
Yeah.
yes.
So, Modi, you were born in
Yeah.
Israel,
Yes.
and you moved at age of 7?
7. Yeah, moved to America, to the 5 towns in Long Island, the real Jewish homeland.
Yeah.
A long
And I lived here, visited Israel many times, and went to school in Boston University and lived in the city now, and do stand-up full-time, yeah, for over 30 years.
Do you see yourself as an Israeli, or if you started?
It depends, it depends where you are. I did a show in Israel, and I did the Echala Tarbut, the Brachman Center in Tel Aviv, 3,000 people. It's insane. And my connection to the audience was like, I'm also Israeli, but I'm also not Israeli. I'm also like the people that moved to Israel from America,
Yeah.
the expats and all that. And so I have the connection. I'm definitely Israeli. I was born in Israel. My parents are Israeli. We speak Hebrew in the house. And there's that, but I'm also an American.
Of course. You speak Hebrew
Yeah.
in the house?
In the house, we only spoke Hebrew, yeah.
Ah, cool.
I also lived in New York, and we still laugh at my parents' accent every now and then. They're like, you cannot take the Israeli out of them, the Hebrew accent from the English. It's quite funny. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, because I can't hear me. Modi, I wanted to ask you, can you take us a bit to the beginning of how you started as a comedian? Because that was not the first thing that you did.
No, I was in 30 years ago. I was in investment banking at a firm called Merrill Lynch, and I used to imitate the secretaries, and my friends do it on stage. And I began to do it on stage, and little by little, it built up. And then about 5 years later, I left banking. I was doing comedy full time at that time too. And then I began doing in 1999 full time comedy, and that's how that's how it began. And and I built a Jewish market, and I was very clean. And so I built not only the comedy club circuit, I built a Jewish audience, and I built a corporate audience because performed in a suit, and I performed in clean, and it was so that's how it all kind of began.
And what was your
What was the reaction of your parents?
Well, we can start with that.
It's usually a question only Jewish people ask me, and it's don't forget, in the beginning I was doing two jobs at the same time, so I didn't leave banking to go be a waiter and a comedian. So by the time I was doing comedy full time, I was already making a living. I was already Baruch Hashem, making a living. So I was able to leave. It was very good. It was real.
And who was you were inspired by as a comedian?
I get inspiration from many comedians. Back then, there's Alan King, there's Jackie Mason, there's George Carlin, there's Bill Cosby. There's a million comedians that were back in the days. Today, there's great comedians we have today, John Mulaney and Bill Burr and all of that. And I get inspiration from them, but styling-wise and cadence-wise, Alan King always seemed to be a little bit more my type. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's an old comedian.
She knows.
Yes, a little bit. Modi, one of the things that you talk about a lot, and I'm a listener to your podcast, you talk about Mashiach energy.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could give us a taste of, explain what is Mashiach energy to our audience that probably doesn't, might not know what it really means.
Well, Mashiach energy could mean different things to different people. To me, it's the goal of a Jew is to bring Mashiach, to create a messianic era. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to work at it. So before it's a full messianic era, you create a little messianic energies by helping people. You do a comedy show, you see 3,000 people laughing. You see, that's Mashiach energy. You make a phone call to somebody who you know is down, and you bring a little light to them. And you're creating this energy that we want to be in all the time, Mashiach energy. Because the goal of every Jew is Mashiach. I know people say the goal is that there's no anti-Semitism. The goal is Jewish education. The goal is everybody eats kosher. That's not the goal. The goal is Mashiach, and then everything else is a part of that.
We said earlier that your audience or your humor, it's not only for Jewish people, but would you say that the people who are non-Jewish can relate to the Jewish humor? Can understand?
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it. Like when you go see a black comedian, and he talks about growing up in a black neighborhood with black friends and black music, and it gives you a window into their world. You love it. You feel like, wow, I know what the ghetto was like. I know what living in Georgia and being black is like. You get that extra, and so now you watch my show, you have a window into the Jewish world through pride and laughter.
And our world is quite funny. I mean, I remember a few months ago for Hanukkah, somebody asked me in the office, they said, so what do you do? What is your celebration? What do you eat? And I said, well, we eat fried food. And they said, and what do you do also? Like, do exchange, is it like Christmas and whatever? And we say, look, we do gifts, but ultimately we give money, you know? And and you see like the reaction of people change because you're explaining it in a dry way. People don't understand, what do you mean you give money? So indeed, it's a bit of a window to, a funny window, I think, to who we are as a culture.
We are, after 7th of October, all of us were impacted by the terrifying events. Would you say that it impacts your show, your audience, your...
Of course. October 7th, I was in Israel. I had shows in Sukkot. And then we went to bed that night, and we woke up at 6 in the morning. We woke up at 6 in the morning with the alarms, and we had a flight from Tel Aviv to France on that day, on October 7th, because we had shows in Paris on Monday, which was the Monday after the Saturday of 4 shows we had, and we had to figure out if we were going to cancel them or not. And we ended up doing them. And we did it, and we it was crazy to be in front of an audience that is on their phone looking at the war, because by then it was still raw. We didn't know what was going on, and I did the show, and at the end I began to sing Hatikva at the end of every show, just so after we have an hour and a half of laughter, we remember where our hearts, our souls, our prayers are, and that's the only thing I've really done different. I speak more about the war now, but towards the end of the show, and obviously bringing humor into it, bringing the greatness stuff into it, like all the women in America that went to Israel to help, that kind of stuff. And it's of course it's impactful. And when the tour that we're on is called Pause for Laughter, which is really it's what you have to do. You have to take a little time out of all of your scrolling on the phone and all the Israeli news and all of the hostages' families and all of the horrific things happening, to take a moment and laugh. And then you go back, again, then you do the tikva and you go back to doing whatever you can, to creating whatever Mashiach energy you can.
And how do you, as a comedian, find the strength and the energy to make people laugh under these complicated circumstances?
The intention is to make them laugh and make them happy and make people who are sad happy and bring peace to situations that there's no peace. And so I don't bog myself down in the news. So I don't watch news all day long. I don't have every Israeli news outlet sending me information on my Instagram. I know what's happening in the world. I'm about to do a big, we're announcing this soon, that we're doing a live interview with me and one of the hostages. Okay. And so we are on top of what's happening, but I don't let it be my whole day. And that allows me to be funny.
Do you have a routine before you go on stage?
Yes. I go over my notes. I go over my notes and see what changes I want to do to things that I'm currently working on. And then I say a prayer before I go on. I say the Ana B'Koach prayer, and hope that to that's it. Just to send love into that. A prayer just to create Mashiach energy with this with comedy. And I'll tell you, the last time I was in Antwerp, I have a picture here. It says February 1st, 2018. There was a big Jewish event. I don't know who this rabbi's name is. I think he passed away since then, but he was the chief rabbi of Belgium. I don't know if I can get the picture of him. Do you see it?
Yeah, we see
Yes.
the picture, but I
Yes.
don't recognize.
Yes.
You don't know who he is, right?
It's not the one from Belz, from Antwerp.
Yeah, it's
He's from
somewhere
Antwerp,
far.
yeah.
I think it's the rabbi of Belz, yeah, the Hasidut Belz.
I don't know. He was the chief rabbi of, and I was following him. And the big thing about that night was that he was speaking in Flemish instead of English or French or whatever language you speak. And I never heard Flemish like that. So I followed him. I was right after him. And my joke was that I said, Rabbi, I never heard such horrible Yiddish in my life.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Well, now you will hear it again because in Flanders, Antwerp is in Flanders, and in Flanders, indeed, they speak Flemish. And it's not quite German, it's not quite Dutch, it's somewhere, I think the dialect also varies where you are, and it's, I don't know it, I just know the good stuff. I want beer, I love you, I want to sleep, the things that get you in life. But
apropos language and culture, do you adapt your show to the audience if you are in Warsaw or in Israel or... Here?
I speak a little slower. I've noticed that in places like Belgium, Germany, Holland, they speak English amazing. They really speak English. There's no language barrier.
Yeah.
And in France, it's a little more, they get it. And they know it, and they feel the energy on stage, but I can tell that they're missing words. You can just tell. But the good thing about France is it's in Paris. The shows are in Paris, so people see that I'm in Paris, so that they come in. They make a weekend of it, so it's a fun event.
Yeah, and there is always something to relate to because eventually you're talking about things that. We experience in our families, we eat around the table, so it's very familiar. That's how I find your humor. It's very home-like,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, just because, we're here in communication and we're constantly thinking, what works, what doesn't work, how do our listeners respond to things? I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with a moment where you don't really have the crowd with you? So in such a case where either it's a language barrier or something you say and people don't get it, how do you collect and move on,
I don't usually have those moments.
Now we are jealous.
Well, we don't know. We get the feedback afterwards. So.
Yeah, no, on stage, when I try new material, I try in between stuff that I know works. I don't really know how to answer that question. On our podcast, we just all together just declared that this podcast is to numb your mind. It's 3 or 4 people talking about shuyot, we had a big conversation about pretzels. We have about, pretzels. We have this, just this light things. So, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, go listen to a political podcast. It's, the audience is with us. The audience is with us. I can tell you that, yeah.
Do you find that you have, since I ask that because we know that you were born in Israel, you grew up in a family, you spoke Hebrew, but you're also American. What influenced more your humor? The Jewish American or the Israeli vibes? Or it's
both.
Yeah.
Absolutely both. There's a cadence in my rhythm where you can see I'm an Israeli. There's a cadence you can see I'm a Jewish American. It's both of them. It's a mixture. It's a real chulent. It's a real,
Chulent.
it's a chulent
Chulent, it's good.
of an energy, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I see, you know, when I watch Israeli comedians, I see how they talk, and I see that that's in me. And American, you know, comedians and Jewish American comedians, I see that in me as well.
Do you write your own content, or you?
Of course, yeah. I write my own jokes. Luckily, my husband's very funny, so he helps me punch it up. And you try it on stage, and you see what works, and you change your name, and you change a placing of material, and it's a process. And so the show that we have now, that's called Pause for Laughter, which is what we're touring. You know, we started at the Beacon Theater in New York. Big. We had 3 shows. And since then, we've been fixing and honing and making it even better and better. The shows at the Beacon were amazing. But, you know, the more you work on it, the more you feel it. And then you begin to tape it. And then you have it out there. And the last show we did was called Know Your Audience, which is now available on YouTube for everybody, which is a great hour. And that's super Jewish. And I put that out there so I can get all the Jewish material off my back. And now I can do things that aren't as Jewish. But still, everything's explainable.
And Hachi, what makes you, in your opinion, what makes Jewish humor work so well, or transcend over cultures? What is the secret ingredient there?
I don't know how to explain that. Comedy works when it works. When it's funny, it works. I will tell you that, you know, people always ask, how come there's so many Jews in comedy? And I think that answer is because that's what God put us here to do. When God, I'm not kidding you, when God, you know, in the Bible, it says we're the chosen people. But we're not the chosen people to be the biggest nation, the strongest nation, even the richest nation. We were chosen to be ivrim, to bring over things of healing. So that's why you walk around, you see every hospital has a Jewish name on it, every university has a Jewish name on it, every museum has a Jewish name on it. That's what we were brought here to do. And comedy is the same way. It brings healing, it brings culture, it brings relief. That's why, proportionate-wise, Jews are more in comedy than other people. Your question about Jewish humor, it's any humor. It just has to be delivered well.
You mentioned your husband.
Yes.
And yes, we heard you say that you got a comment that you don't have gay vibes, but still you're performing also in front of more traditional communities. How they accept this?
I tell you, it was I was never in the closet, but I was never out. After there was an article that came out in Variety, a big magazine in Hollywood, talking about me and my husband and all of that. It didn't affect anything. I still get hired by. We do our shows. We do our shows, our own shows, in theaters, and the ages are 18 to 88 and more, and it's every spectrum of Jewish. You see yarmulkes, white shirts, black pants. You see people completely irreligious, couples that are intermarried. Everything is there. And then when we get hired to do Jewish events like United Jewish Appeal, UJA, religious organizations, RCCS, a Hasidic organization that helps people with cancer, Mashiach Energy on another level. They still call me to do shows. Chabad, the Chabad houses love when I come and do shows there if they can afford me. Yeah. And then I don't know. It didn't. People didn't cancel me or cut me off, and just because wherever I go, I present the material the way it needs to be presented. Like the name of my first special is "Know Your Audience."
Okay, and your husband Leo, right?
Yes.
He's not Jewish.
He's not Jewish, but by now he's already.
But he's totally.
But he was born Catholic and he quit. Now he's just Sephardic.
Good for us.
Now, his father was born in Spain.
You see why people tell that we control the world?
No, his father was born in Spain, so my husband is Sephardic. There's nothing to say about it. It doesn't get more official than that.
And before he became Sephardic, officially Sephardic, could you see the difference in the sense of humor between you and him? Did you have any...
He has an amazing sense of humor. He's very fast, and now that he's been for 10 years immersed in the Jewish world, he has the Jewish sense of humor too, but he's very quick with a line. He also helps me with wording. How to get it cleaner, and it's really a gift that he's in my life and with me nonstop and working with me, and he sees the shows and he sees the progression of jokes and material, and it's like having somebody keeping an eye on it. It's Mashiach energy. Nothing I can explain. It's just the having him in my life is Mashiach energy.
Talk about Mashiach energy. If the Mashiach shows up tomorrow, what's the first thing you tell him or her?
No, it's Mashiach is already here. Mashiach is already here, and we're not. Mashiach is already here. We're not here. We're not all there. We're not 24/7 Mashiach, but that Mashiach energy is here. It's here. It's here. So think of it as in it's already here. Not the Chabad people saying we want Mashiach now. You've heard that song, right?
Yeah.
We want Mashiach. I never sing the song, because when you say we want Mashiach now, God gives you whatever you want. So if whatever you desire, whatever you intend. So if your intention is want, then you're gonna get more of want. But instead it's here. It's just function in the form of Mashiach is here, and do what you can to create Mashiach energy.
And
anything.
What do you think would motivate us as a culture, as people, as Jewish, as community, to do more, to realize that Mashiach is actually here?
It's just small things that could cause such huge differences. First of all, in Israel, in the Knesset, and what's happening there is horrible. I don't follow the news. I don't know the name of every politician. From what I see, from broad strokes, it's horrendous. If the Knesset Israel, this is like from the Talmud, from the Torah, Knesset Israel. We say Knesset like a parliament. It's Knesset Israel. If there was just peace there, if they could just stop being horrible, that's where if they got it together, the whole world would have peace. The whole world would be in full messianic era. But that's where I think has to really begin. It's so horrible what's happening there. And I watch clips of the Knesset. I just watch it, and it's more frightening than when you see bombs coming over.
I agree.
The way they interact, the way they talk, and the way
it's devastating, and
it's devastating.
Yeah, it makes me more sad, as you said, than the bombs or anything else, to see our society, our home, collapsing because of their behavior. Indeed.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a small change, just a little derech eretz to each other, a little more of just literally just to think of creating. I also believe, when a Knesset or a parliament or Congress or the Senate speak, they shouldn't just start. They should have 5 minutes of comedy. Somebody should come up and tell 2, 3 jokes, and then they start.
Or a good
So everybody's
song.
everybody's in a good place.
Yeah. What role does music play in your life?
Oh, I love music. I have for my shows when the audience walks in, I have a playlist which really curates the vibe, with a very special song at the end before the show begins. We went out dancing this week, and we hadn't been in New York in so long. We've been traveling so much. We went this Sunday. We went to hear a DJ. We danced till 4:00. It was so much fun. In the gym, the music I listen to amps me and gets me excited, and it's everything from Hasidic music to DJs to all Israeli music, all kinds of music. It definitely, and cantorial music. I love cantorial music, and so wherever I am, whatever I need, that kind of like vibe in me, music always helps.
You studied cantorial music, no?
I did study cantorial music and singing, and I love it, and I do it as a hobby.
Okay.
As a hobby, yeah. I go to my synagogue. I used to do the Yom Kippur services, and then if I'm there for Shabbat, I'll do Musaf or Shacharit, and I love it. I'm always singing. When I'm in the apartment, I'm always singing. Yeah.
Do you see yourself also in the, I would say, conventional media, on air, on television?
Yes. Yes, we are. We thank God we have our amazing touring agent. We have an amazing agency that we work with, and we're looking at all kinds of television and movie opportunities. And but in the meanwhile, I'm a touring comedian, and there's shows lined up, and everything will fall into place at the right time.
Be'ezrat Hashem, of course.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I want to ask, to complete the following sentence. A Jew walks into a podcast and...
She's challenging
I'm
you
challenging
with all jokes. Did you hear what she asked?
Yeah. The Jew walks into a podcast
and
she wants you to complete
the sentence.
Jew walks into a podcast. The first thing he says, "What? There's no food here?"
True.
Exactly.
It's her.
You want me to sit here for an hour, and you didn't even bring a piece of fruit?
There is water here, but no, there are no cups.
So that's what he says.
We are reaching the last few minutes of our podcast. You probably,
I just wanted to ask him what he prefers, Bamba, Bisli. What do you like?
I love Bamba. I love Bamba.
With the chocolate.
And but I really do love pretzels. I don't know if you heard the last clip we had from the podcast. I love pretzels. We had a big conversation about it. Bisli is the aftermath isn't worth it. You eat it, you enjoy it, but the rest of the day, you greps it up. And then it crystallizes in your teeth, the Bisli. So,
yeah.
The whole day you're trying to get it out, and you're trying to watch, and it doesn't really. So you have that taste in your mouth the whole day. So the aftermath of Bisli is not as good as Bamba. But Bamba you can have and have a coffee afterwards, and it's as though you didn't have, right? Bisli is a little more of a commitment for the day.
But if you want to upgrade the experience. You have to take Bamba and Bisli together.
With the pretzel.
No, Bamba and Bisli together to eat them, and with a coca. Coca Zero or something, and
Yeah.
you know, it's
No.
the
And
best
then we
combination.
tell them
I
the signs
understand,
for
but
the
I'm
And
saying-
then you have the feeling afterwards.
No, Diet Coke is my favorite drink in the world, which I only have once in a while. Only once
Okay.
in a while. That's it. It's not good for you. But that's a gift I give myself if I'm having a pizza or a good pretzel. Otherwise, there's no Diet Coke. That's my favorite drink. And I definitely Bamba over Beastly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Modi, so we just want to come back to the beginning. You're coming to Antwerp, to those that are listening, May
Yes.
22nd. There will be Flemish, but the show is for everyone. Is there anything you want to share with our listeners, what to expect? What are they in for? And so that hopefully you sell full house, so that everybody's there.
Amen. The show is about, we talk about the travel that I do. We talk about health procedures. We talk about, what else is in the show? Talking about, there's a conversation about when Jewish people and not Jewish people get together. There's a conversation about October 7th in a way that brings you relief to it. There's a conversation about how not only Jews are looking for messianic energy, but Gentiles and Muslims all are looking for that. And I tell an amazing story and a joke about how two doctors saved my father's life, and they were both Muslim. And then we sing Hatikva at the end, just to remind ourselves where our hearts, our souls, our prayers are, and that's what it is. And the tickets are available on modilive.com. Get some, and more important, get some tickets for your friends. Don't just buy for you and your husband or wife. Get four, get 6 tickets. By the time the show comes, people will be looking for you, or you can tell them, what are you doing? Come with us, my treat, come see a show. There's no better gift in the world. And it's literally, you're giving them Mashiach energy. Here, come and have an hour and a half of laughter.
Sagit, you want to ask a
And the
final?
podcast too. Also, we have a podcast, and here's Modi, and my special, my last special is free for everybody on YouTube.
Excellent.
I will just repeat that, I think in Hebrew. לכל המאזינים שלנו היקרים, אז מודי מגיע שוב בעזרת השם
שוב אני חוזר, אני
ב-22.
מגיע לאירופה, אני מופיע באנטוורפ ב-22 במאי. כל הכרטיסים, modilive.com. תקנו לכם, תקנו לחברים שלכם, תהיו את החברים שמביאים את החברים להופעה.
בדיוק.
זה גורם לרוח משיח.
I want to say thank you. I want to say a private thank you to you. Because I was there, and it's a bit closure for me. I was there after the 7th of October in your show. I was sitting 4th row. I was upgraded to the 2nd row because I saw somebody that I knew that, and I ended up basically being at your feet, and it was the first time that I had laughed since the 7th of October. And I walked out and my cheeks were hurting because I had laughed so hard. And at one point I laughed and I was crying at the same time. So I went through a whole range of emotions in your show. And then when, I don't know if you were able to see it, but when you did sing Atikva, and it was for us the first live Atikva that was not a ceremony, but it was a very binding experience. It was a very powerful experience. And I wanted to say thank you for that because it gave me oxygen. And not just to me. We looked at, when we walked out, we all said we needed it. So thank you.
Yeah.
And keep spreading the Ruach Mashiach and the good energy and vibes. We are very grateful for you and thankful.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the program. And believe me, every time people tell me this is the first time I've laughed since COVID or the first time I've laughed since October 7th, it really, it keeps me going.
Yeah, us too. So keep doing what you're doing. You do it so well, really. Thank you for
תודה
taking the
רבה.
time to come to the podcast, and we wish you best of luck. And we will be
Thank you very
following you,
much.
continuing to follow you. Thank you.
Amen.